I just read a piece at Daily Kos that I tell you, written by Walter Einenkel at Daily Kos, one of the Daily Kos staff, and I have to tell you, it makes you want to cry because not because of what happened with this woman. We were used to these types of microaggressions. We are used to this type of involvement, thinking that we are always answerable to you. In other words, we take a look at people when people watch police officers shoot down somebody or stop somebody indiscriminately. They say things like, "Why didn't you just answer the questions and it would have just been over?" In other words, it is okay for you to be over policed. It is okay for you to stop you in your tracks for whatever you are doing. Right? It is always okay. But if that is placed on you, suddenly it's a problem. But for you, we should always have the right to ask you, do you belong here? Just like or if you ask me to do something that is otherwise I don't want to do, who the hell are you to tell me what to do? Well, apparently this happened again in New Jersey, Montclair, New Jersey. And what made me want to cry wasn't that it happened, not that this white woman who thought she had some superiority over her neighbor building something in his backyard, and she wanted to tell him, you can't build that, or do you have the legal rights to do it? I mean, think about this. If I see somebody in my backyard attempting to build something, am I going to go out there and say, do you have the right to build that? No, I won't. If that's not in my space, I have no right. But she thought she had the right. And they responded to her, we don't have to answer to you. We don't. But by the way, we know that it's legal, but we don't have to answer to you, nor do you have the right to come onto my property and tell me that. Well, this woman, apparently she's been harassing her black neighbors for a couple of years. Well, this woman decided to come into the yard and say, hey, you guys can't be building that. Prove to me that it's okay for you to build that. Prove to me that it's okay for you to build that. And they said, no, no, no. And when she finally found out, I guess, that really they could build it, and not only that, but that it's legal, she had to find another recourse. And what is the other recourse? Just like that young lady in the park who called the police officers on the black dude who told her to put her dog on a leash, because who the hell are you to tell me that? And now it happened again. This woman says I'm going to call the police, and accuses him of pushing her off his property. Luckily, there are neighbors around, and his wife is also saying this never happened. But what brought tears to the eyes was that the neighbors, the white neighbors in this white neighborhood or this white area, came outside as well in support, stayed in. No, he didn't do that. Why are you calling the cops? And the thing about it is, whenever a white person calls a cop on a black person, and I'm just telling it the way it is, the concern is, even if you are in the right, in fact, I don't call cops. If something happens around here, I try my best not to call a cop, because even the callers of the cops that are POCs, black or otherwise, have a tendency to be the ones that get questioned and many times get arrested. But this time, the cops were surrounded by a community made up of white people who came out and said to this white woman, why are you doing this? These people have done nothing to you. They stuck up for what was righteous. I love the new generations of people that are coming up and seeing how things really are. Now look, racism, as I've always spoken about, is a stupid thing. It's a necessary thing for capitalism. But you know what is starting to happen? People are starting to see the truth. People are starting to see that, hey, we are being used. And in the process of being used, we are hurting other human beings. And we are not, this what they're calling her now, a permit Karen, because do you have a permit to build that? But here's the deal. People are now speaking up. You know, poor Karen, poor permit Karen. She's also a victim. She just doesn't know it, you know. But she could have gotten that guy killed. She just doesn't know it. She knows what she's doing. She knows that because her feelings was hurt, because she was wrong, and because her personally perceived superiority over her neighbor was not tolerated, and she was sent flying in her hurt little self, she was going to show him, just like Amy Cooper was going to let that black dude know, how dare you tell me to put the leash on? How dare you tell me to leave your property after I questioned you about whether you had a permit, and I'm going to call the cops on you. Well, the cops came out. That is a frightening sight for any black person, specifically black men. The cops came out to the house, but the white neighbors, you know, in the Black Lives Matter movement, you know, when the white allies come out, I remember we were in St. Louis at a Black Lives Matter march. We were at St. Louis, and the Netroots Nation was in St. Louis, and Black Lives Matter was going to shut down the freeway. And we shut down the freeway, and I remember when the calls came in, when the cops came racing down, and the Black Lives Matter leader called out, "White allies, we need you." And you saw the march of white allies come in front of the line to be in front to meet the police, because they knew they were providing that guard against the oppressor of the POCs. It is that coalition. You know, in politics done right, I've always said, when we unite the ghettos, Appalachia, and the barrios, it's a stereotype, but it's meant to convey something. We would have accomplished what we need to accomplish. And in this story on Daily Kos, you guys need to, well, I'm going to reblog it and then point back to it. But in this story, it is showing an America coming together. Eddie Glaude, Professor Eddie Glaude at Princeton, he once said, "We've seen these things before where it looks like we're making a change and everything is there ready and cocked for a change. And then it doesn't occur." I have a different feeling this time. I think enough people are starting to see two things. Racism in its own right, because we know each other is rather stupid. We know that. Although within the mind, those prejudices that were implanted, those engraved, implanted prejudices are hard to rid of until we do it from the heart. But deep inside, the intellectual is coming to fruition. The intellectual part that is saying this is simply and absolutely wrong is coming to fruition. And after that comes to fruition, it comes from the heart. Folks that I saw out there in these videos proves that. It proves that. So what happened?
You won't go home. You won't go home. Okay? We expect that of Amy's. We expect that. We expect that. Of course you are. That's what you know. He did not.
Yes, he did.
No,
You're his spouse. Yeah, can I please get a 44 Norman Road? I need to call.
She's calling the police.
wow. This is what she's been waiting 2 years to do this. She's been waiting 2 years to do this.
He's taller than me, pushed me off his property.
She's been waiting 2 years to do this to us. She's been waiting 2 years for this.
Are you crazy?
This is Susan that lives on Marion Road in Montclair.
In this climate right now, you're especially not supporting members of our community here.
He pushed me 10 feet.
I want to stop that because there is this other white woman speaking to her, and she says, "In this climate right now, you mean you're not supporting your black neighbor?" I mean, she tells her white neighbor that. You mean in this climate, you see what's happening, you're not supporting your neighbor?
They're saying he didn't.
I didn't put my hands on you, woman.
Are you kidding me? Just because I came over your lawn, I should have brought my son.
No, are you threatening us with your sons?
She's not admitting to it.
Are you threatening us with your sons?
Are you going to say you didn't put your hands on me?
Ain't nobody put their hands on you.
No one put your hands on. He put his hands on me. I asked you to please leave.
Oh, God, because you're attorneys, you know what to do.
And again,
Exactly.
she's
So
on
please
their
walk
property,
away from our property.
and she's saying
just let
leave,
her
and
so
she
our
won't
kids
leave.
don't have to see the police, please. Please just go inside with them.
Got really
There
crazy
are other witnesses here, and They're not the only lawyers around right now, and I believe these citizens.
He was angry. She was pushing him back. No, she was never touched
Look at my arm.
Sorry,
him.
guys.
Get away without a mask.
Stay away from me without a mask. I wonder who she supports.
Could you please stop recording?
No, no. This is for the people. So they
Now, I mean, so that is what got to me. Surrounded by white neighbors, and they are there saying, we are not going to let you make us look like who you are. That makes a difference. Now, later on, the kids, and this is the best part now, right? The kids, they said, we are not having this in Montclair. No, we're not. So what did the kids do? Check out what the kids did.
Your racist self has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Your racist self has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Your racist self has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho.
They marched in front of her home. These young people saying, we don't want any of that around here. You know, Eddie Glaude, we hope Eddie Glaude, brother Eddie Glaude, Dr. Eddie Glaude from Princeton, we think, and I really mean this, I think we may be starting to see that edge. And I think Donald Trump has a lot to do with it. The crudeness, the evil that he allowed to emanate that was graphic for all to see. And for those cops who now were killing without impunity, I know what a lot of people are saying, but it's only a few people that got killed. They don't tell you all the stories because remember, there are a lot of things that occur that's never reported. The change is coming. This warmed the heart, and it should warm the hearts of all. I'm Egberto Willies, host of Politics Done Right, an independent news program. I post several news videos of interest every day. I ask you so kindly to subscribe to my channel, and please leave me some comments. Thank you very much.